An intense sponsorship race has placed Alex Eala at the center of one of the most talked about stories in women's tennis, drawing attention from fans and industry insiders alike. As several of the sport's most recognizable equipment brands reportedly competed for the opportunity to work with the rising Filipina star, the conversation quickly expanded beyond ordinary endorsement negotiations and into a headline-making battle for one of tennis' brightest young talents. At only 21 years old, Eala has rapidly transformed from a promising junior into one of the WTA Tour's most exciting emerging players. Her journey began on the ITF circuit, where she quietly developed her game far from the global spotlight, but everything changed after capturing the 2022 US Open girls singles title. Over the following seasons, her steady climb through the rankings captured the attention of talent scouts, marketing executives, and major sponsors searching for the sport's next breakout star. By early 2026, Eala had established herself among the world's top players, combining fearless baseline tennis with remarkable composure under pressure while building an enormous fan base across Southeast Asia. Her inspiring rise, determined mindset, and connection with millions of supporters made her an exceptionally attractive ambassador for leading global brands. The timing could hardly have been better, as women's tennis continued searching for a new generation of stars capable of expanding the sport's reach throughout Asia. Eala represented a rare combination of elite potential, authenticity, and broad commercial appeal, making her one of the most valuable young athletes on the market. She had already built relationships with established sponsors during her teenage years, including apparel partnerships and trusted equipment providers, but as her profile continued to grow, so did the competition to secure her future, setting the stage for a sponsorship story that would capture widespread attention across the tennis world. A high-stakes sponsorship battle has suddenly placed Alex Eala at the center of one of the most fascinating stories in women's tennis, capturing the attention of the entire tennis world. As several of the sport's biggest equipment brands reportedly pursued the fast-rising Filipina star, what began as a routine race for a signature athlete quickly evolved into a headline-making competition that few expected. At just 21 years old, Eala has become one of the WTA Tour's most exciting young talents, but her rapid ascent has been anything but ordinary. Only a few years ago, she was a determined teenager from the Philippines competing on the ITF circuit, building her career tournament by tournament with little international recognition. Everything changed after her breakthrough victory at the 2022 US Open Girls Singles Championship, as her confidence, performances, and global reputation continued to grow. By 2025 and early 2026, her rise through the rankings had attracted the attention of leading agents, talent scouts, and some of the most recognizable brands in tennis. Breaking into the world's top 50 transformed her from a promising prospect into one of the sport's most valuable emerging stars. Armed with an aggressive baseline game, remarkable composure, and a rapidly expanding fan base throughout Southeast Asia, Eala became the kind of athlete every major company wanted to represent. Her inspiring journey, combined with her growing influence across a nation of more than 110 million Filipinos, made her an exceptionally attractive figure for global marketing campaigns. The timing also worked in her favor, as women's tennis continued searching for the next wave of stars capable of expanding the sport's presence across Asia. While established names already had long-term commercial partnerships, Eala emerged as one of the brightest new opportunities in the region. She had already begun building relationships with major sponsors during her teenage years, including an early partnership with Nike, laying the foundation for what would soon become one of the most closely watched endorsement stories in professional tennis. Her early endorsement agreements gave her dependable support rather than headline-grabbing attention. Nike had provided the apparel, while Babolat handled her racket partnership, a solid arrangement that many young professionals would have gladly accepted. Everything seemed secure, but in elite sports, stability rarely remains untouched when a player's value begins to skyrocket. As Alex Eala's profile continued to grow, reports of interest from rival companies started gaining momentum. Among the names being discussed, Wilson was said to be preparing an aggressive move, not simply to add another athlete to its roster, but to position Eala as the centerpiece of its next generation of racket promotions throughout the Asia-Pacific region. If true, this would be far more than a routine endorsement negotiation. It had the potential to become one of the most closely watched commercial battles in women's tennis. Almost overnight, Eala found herself at the center of a rapidly intensifying race between major global brands, turning her into one of the sport's most valuable young marketing prospects. The bigger question was no longer how quickly she could climb the rankings, but how she would navigate the enormous business opportunities arriving alongside her success. According to widespread speculation, the competition began behind closed doors, where executives and player representatives explored increasingly ambitious proposals. One reported offer from Wilson allegedly included a multi-year agreement valued in the millions, complete with exclusive marketing rights across key Asia-Pacific campaigns and even discussions of supporting future tennis development projects in the Philippines under Eala's name. Whether every reported detail was accurate or not, the message was unmistakable. Global companies no longer viewed Alex Eala as simply another promising player. They saw her as a long-term investment capable of influencing the future of tennis in one of the world's fastest-growing markets, setting the stage for a sponsorship contest that was only beginning to unfold. One reported condition immediately raised the stakes. According to the speculation, any agreement with Wilson would require complete exclusivity, meaning Alex Eala would have to end her partnership with Babolat without any transition period. It was presented as an all-or-nothing decision, leaving no room for shared endorsements or gradual change. For Eala's team, that possibility carried far more weight than a simple business transaction. Babolat had supported her long before she became an international name, standing beside her during the early stages of her career, providing specialized equipment, welcoming her to its training facilities in France, and building a relationship that extended well beyond a standard sponsorship. Walking away would not only reshape her commercial future but also close an important chapter of her journey. As rumors surrounding the reported multi-million-dollar proposal spread, discussions reportedly intensified. Within days, Babolat was said to have responded with a new package designed to keep its rising star, combining a significant financial commitment with a larger role in the company's long-term expansion throughout Asia. While the reported figures may not have matched the highest offers being discussed, the message centered on continuity, trust, and the opportunity for Eala to remain the face of the brand across one of tennis' fastest-growing markets. Then another global giant reportedly entered the picture. Until that point, Nike had remained largely out of the conversation, seemingly confident in its existing relationship with the young Filipina. But as reports of competing proposals gained momentum, the company was said to have reassessed its strategy. Rather than focusing solely on financial incentives, Nike allegedly envisioned Eala as more than an elite tennis player, seeing her as an athlete capable of building worldwide influence through signature apparel, long-term branding opportunities, and collaborations alongside some of the biggest names in global sports. Reports even suggested the proposed agreement could become one of the most valuable endorsement packages ever associated with a Filipino athlete. Yet there was another important detail. Unlike the reported Wilson proposal, Nike was said to have no interest in changing her racket partnership, preferring instead to concentrate exclusively on apparel and lifestyle branding while allowing her equipment arrangements to remain unchanged. The reported negotiations became even more complicated when Nike was said to focus almost entirely on apparel, lifestyle branding, and long-term image rights rather than equipment. According to the speculation, accepting one proposal could have affected the others, forcing Alex Eala to weigh far more than financial figures alone. Each path appeared to offer a completely different future. One emphasized building a lasting tennis legacy, another highlighted loyalty and continuity, while the third promised worldwide exposure and the opportunity to become a global sports icon. As the discussions reportedly intensified, information that was expected to remain confidential suddenly began surfacing online. Rumors spread that details from the negotiations were finding their way into the public, fueling widespread curiosity throughout the tennis community. Then came the development that dramatically changed the conversation. Reports claimed that a well-known tennis social media account shared what appeared to be a confidential document outlining the structure of one proposed sponsorship package, including reported signing bonuses, performance incentives, marketing rights, and long-term investment plans. Whether authentic or not, the post spread rapidly across social media, sparking intense debate among fans and commentators. Soon afterward, additional reports claimed that details connected to other competing proposals had also emerged, transforming what had been private business discussions into one of the sport's biggest talking points. Tennis fans analyzed every reported figure, compared the rumored offers, and debated which partnership would provide the greatest long-term value for Eala's career. Throughout the growing speculation, Eala herself remained publicly silent, allowing the rumors to circulate without confirmation. Meanwhile, supporters across the Philippines celebrated the remarkable commercial interest surrounding one of the nation's brightest sporting stars, but excitement quickly evolved into passionate debate. Some believed a partnership focused on developing tennis in the Philippines would leave the strongest legacy, while others argued that aligning with a globally recognized brand could open even greater opportunities for Filipino athletes on the international stage. At the same time, many fans defended the value of staying with the company that had supported her from the beginning, praising loyalty over headline-making contracts. As the discussion continued to gain momentum, social media activity from the brands themselves was closely scrutinized, with every promotional post and carefully chosen message interpreted by fans as a possible hint about where the highly anticipated partnership might ultimately lead. As speculation continued to dominate the conversation, every public move by the companies involved came under intense scrutiny. Supporters closely analyzed promotional content, with many interpreting brand messages as subtle references to the ongoing negotiations. Babolat highlighted some of Alex Eala's most memorable performances using its equipment, reinforcing the value of a partnership built over several years. Nike, meanwhile, remained publicly restrained, allowing its established presence and high-profile athlete roster to speak for itself. As online discussions intensified, fresh reports claimed that additional internal communications had surfaced, allegedly revealing contingency plans in the event Eala chose a different direction. Although the authenticity and context of those reports remained uncertain, they quickly fueled another wave of debate across social media. Some fans viewed the alleged planning as a routine business precaution, while others interpreted it as a sign that the relationship had already begun to shift. The conversation rapidly moved beyond endorsement contracts and became a broader discussion about loyalty, opportunity, and the realities of modern professional sports. Through it all, Eala stayed out of the public debate, choosing not to respond to the growing speculation while attention around her continued to build. Online platforms soon became divided into passionate camps, with supporters backing different brands and defending what they believed would be the best long-term decision for her career. Trending hashtags, opinion polls, highlight videos, and countless fan discussions spread across the Philippines, Southeast Asia, and the wider international tennis community, turning every new rumor into another major headline. Some believed the reported investment in tennis development would leave a lasting legacy, while others argued that worldwide exposure through a global sports brand would create even greater opportunities for future generations of Filipino athletes. What had begun as speculation surrounding sponsorship negotiations had evolved into one of the most closely followed stories in tennis, illustrating just how influential a single rising star could become both on and off the court. As the online debate intensified, countless fans began sharing their own opinions about what Alex Eala's next move should be. Some argued that, if the reported proposals were accurate, choosing a partnership focused on developing tennis in the Philippines could inspire future generations and create opportunities for young athletes. Others quickly pushed back, insisting that no player should feel obligated to base a career-defining decision on public expectations. They argued that Eala had earned the right to choose the path she believed was best for her future without facing pressure from social media. Another group focused on global exposure, claiming that aligning with an internationally recognized brand could elevate her profile far beyond the tennis world and open doors for athletes from the Philippines on an even larger stage. Meanwhile, supporters of Babolat emphasized the value of loyalty, revisiting earlier interviews and photos from Eala's junior career to highlight the company's long-standing support during the earliest stages of her development. Across social media, every perspective found passionate defenders, turning the discussion into a constant back-and-forth between legacy, opportunity, and gratitude. At the same time, promotional content released by the brands drew even greater attention, with many fans interpreting each campaign as an indirect response to the growing speculation. Every advertisement, video, or inspirational message was dissected for possible clues about the ongoing negotiations. Some campaigns emphasized the future of tennis development, while others highlighted years of collaboration and technical innovation, reinforcing the relationships that had already been built. Nike, by comparison, maintained a noticeably quieter public approach, relying on its global reputation and established influence rather than directly engaging in the online conversation. As interest continued to grow, the debate expanded beyond fans alone. Tennis writers, commentators, and analysts began publishing their own opinions, each offering a different perspective on which reported partnership could have the greatest impact on Eala's career. What had started as speculation surrounding sponsorship negotiations had evolved into one of the sport's most widely discussed stories, proving that Alex Eala's influence now extended far beyond her performances on the court. As the conversation continued to dominate tennis circles, opinions became increasingly divided. Some commentators argued that the reported Wilson proposal could have a lasting impact on the future of tennis in the Philippines, while others criticized the entire situation, saying the growing sponsorship speculation had shifted the focus away from the athlete herself. Several voices within the tennis community emphasized that endorsement negotiations should never overshadow a player's career or reduce a young competitor to the center of a public commercial battle. Through weeks of constant headlines, fan debates, and endless social media discussions, Alex Eala chose not to respond publicly, allowing the speculation to continue without confirmation. Eventually, however, the attention reached a point where remaining silent was no longer realistic. According to reports, Eala shared a personal statement on social media, writing in a direct and heartfelt tone rather than using carefully crafted corporate language. She acknowledged that the previous weeks had been overwhelming, explaining that instead of concentrating solely on training, rankings, and upcoming tournaments, she had been surrounded by difficult decisions, legal discussions, and constant public attention. She admitted that many people were asking her to choose what they believed was the right path, but she explained that the decision was far more